Happy Friday, Miami. I'm Peter Zalewski. I'm a condo consultant. I'm also the founder of the Miami Condo Investing Club. This is Buy, Sell, Hold Miami. It's a no nonsense local perspective of what's going on in the South Florida real estate market. We're going to tell you what happened this week. We're also going to tell you sort of some of the big stories going forward. My co host is a gentleman who specializes in condos as well as single family houses. His name is Daniel Hernandez. He works over at Compass Real Estate. And Daniel's going to be the host of the show, and I'm basically going to be chiming in. We're not necessarily going to agree on everything, but we're going to give you something to think about. We'll go through 5 pieces, 5 stories. We handpicked them, and we're going to tell you whether or not we think it's a buy, it's a sell, or it's a hold, and then you can form your own opinion. Daniel, happy Friday.
Happy Friday, Peter. What's going on? We got a wild show for everybody today. As Peter alluded to, format of our show is we pick 5 topics. And in those 5 topics, we got about 7 minutes with each topic. If we go a little bit over, that's okay. We've allocated time for that. But for those of you who are joining us, you are with us for 1 hour of fun under the sun here in South Florida. We talk real estate, no nonsense, as Peter likes to say. And let's kick it off, Peter. So a Miami Herald story broke out. I think it was actually New Times because they pick a little racier things than the Herald likes to pick at. But the Brickell Key girlies are upset because they can't cross the bridge anymore to do their hot mom walks, drinking their matchas. But if you're a resident of Brickell Key, and I've always been a fan of Brickell Key for this reason, if you're a resident of Brickell Key and you pay into that HOA or maybe you rent, you can still walk around the island. Why is that? It's because they're starting the demolition of the Mandarin Oriental. For those of you who don't know, the Mandarin Oriental opened back in, I think, 2000. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Peter, but closed just this past May. It's going to come down, and they're going to build 2 towers. Ultra luxury. It's going to be Mandarin Oriental's flagship property. One is going to be primarily residential or completely residential. The other one's going to be a mix of a hotel condo. It's going to be gorgeous. It's going to be nice. And it's scheduled to deliver at the end of 2029. Scheduled. So, if that's Miami scheduling, maybe we'll see something in 2031. I don't know. You can ask the guys who are doing the Signature Bridge project. But Peter, what's going on? What have you read outside the lines or in between the lines with Brickell Key?
So to give everybody context, when Miami was created back at the end of the 19th century, going into the 20th century, yeah, on the south side you had the Brickles, north side you had the Tuttle, Julia Tuttle. Lo and behold, Henry Flagler brings his train down here. City's incorporated 1896. He puts up his Royal Palm Hotel. So the Brickles are on the south side. They're running a trading post. Old man Brickell and Mary Brickell running a trading post. And, there's some concerns, there's some issues, there's some potential. If you dredge the river, you can actually make a port, and now you can start to trade. So they decide to go ahead and dredge the river, somewhere in the ballpark, 6-7 feet deep. They take it to, I don't know what they took it to, but now it's effectively 15 feet. So when they were dredging the river, they needed some place to dump all of the riverbed, if you will. So that's how it became. So they dredged the river. They took all of the fill, if you will, mucky sand and sediment, everything else, and they had to decide where to go. So Julia Tuttle's on the north side with old man Flagler, Henry Flagler. South side is Mary Brickell. So they said, you know what? Let's put it on the south side. So they dump it right outside Mary Brickell's trading post. A lot of this is according to Casey Paquette. He's a local historian. He does a show called The History of Miami.
Yeah, he's got a great Substack, right?
Yeah, fantastic Substack, as well as Paul George. He's a local historian, taught over Miami-Dade College and stuff. So they dump it all there, and it's just sitting there. And according to press reports and stories I read, Mary Brickell's complaining because it stinks. You got all the seabed stinking. Fast forward, lo and behold, it's purchased by the Clawton family. So old man Clawton's got the island, and they put a seawall around it. It's officially called Clawton Island, but the reason people call it Brickell Key is that the first condo project go up there. It's called Brickell Key. So Brickell Key 1, Brickell Key 2, 2 towers that go up there. Lo and behold, a group out of Hong Kong comes in called Swire Properties. They come in, they pretty much accumulate most of the island, and they build a whole variety of things, including that Mandarin Oriental Hotel that you were talking about, Daniel. Well, now they decided, let's go ahead and cash in. So they're tearing down this Mandarin Oriental Hotel, which is, 20 years or so. And so they can put up 2 towers. But what's interesting about Brickell Key or Clawton Island officially is it's triangular shaped. And what they did is they did a bay walk all around it. So people like to go there and walk. You can exercise, or maybe you just want to be a voyeur and watch some of the, some of the people
That's
wandering
very
by, whatever the
racy of
case
you
may
to
be.
say, Peter.
So in anticipation of the Mandarin going up, the what is it, Miami-Dade County? No, City of Miami. They're going to repair this little bridge that connects the mainland over to what was basically just the leftovers from the dredging of the river. 52-year-old bridge, and what they need to fix, A, because of traffic, but B, because of the new project going up. So that's what's going on. So I guess numerous women took to social media, TikTok especially, and the Miami New Times, they wrote a piece about it, about how all these women who are all decked out in their Lululemon gear, they can't get across the bridge because the work is being done now. They don't know where the hell they're going to walk. So
Oy
they're looking for
vey.
recommendations. They're looking for recommendations. Where should we walk? I mean, some people are saying, hey, listen, go down by the Dade County Courthouse. Or maybe others say go up to Edgewater. Maybe you go down to the Grove. You do Key Biscayne. So this is the big drama going on this week in Miami. Where are what they call, let me get the proper name because I don't want to be accused of anything. So the headline of the New Times story, which was just brilliant, and by the way, it's written by a woman called Naomi Feinstein. The headline is, the girlies are heartbroken over Brickell Key Baywalk closure, and they need to know where to walk. They need to know where to walk. Sorry, Daniel, I'm a little bit too excited. I hit my monitor. So Daniel, the question to you is, where should the girlies, according to New Times, where should the girlies be walking now
You
in their
gotta you
Lulu
gotta go to
car?
well, no, listen, to their credit, a wonderful infrastructure project that was undertaken, I don't know how many years ago, but they just completed it, that Dog Beach right outside, right just past the Key Biscayne toll. They ripped out all of those invasive trees. I'm pretty sure they were invasive. My sister would clue me in on this, but they ripped out all these trees. They redid a seawall, and it's quite nice. It's designed poorly because if you go inwards towards Key Biscayne and then you go counterclockwise around under the bridge, you can't complete the loop. So if they would have spent, I don't know, an extra millions of dollars and taxpayer money, so they don't care anyway, but they could have just completed the loop and then you can walk around, and it's nice, it's safe, it's out of traffic, but you have to turn your ass around and come back all the way around. And so what? Okay, you get a little bit more exercise, but it's quite nice. I applaud it. Um, yeah, that's where they should go. Um, is that all we got to say about Brickell Key? I feel like there was a little more there. I was on a boat recently, just passing Brickell Key, and I noticed that Tequesta and you know what? I'm going to misspeak. I think it is Brickell Key 1 that they're doing an amazing job on the structure of that building on the outside. I mean, it's an old enough building, and it probably does need some structural work. But all of these older condo buildings, we always talk about vintage condo buildings, and they're getting these assessments. Well, so many of these buildings in Brickell Key fall under these milestone inspections. Two that I'm going to pull out that is Carbonell in Asia. They don't need their milestone inspections yet because I think they were finished in 2006 and 2008 respectively. But all of these other buildings, including Tequesta, including Brickell Key 1, are under a magnifying glass to our, how many regulators are there? 65 regulators for 29,000 some odd condo buildings in Florida.
Yeah, after the last budget, the 2024 budget, Florida budget, they allocated enough cash to hire 65 regulators to oversee
65
28,250.
regulators. So basically, you can get away with murder in one of these buildings.
Well, Daniel, you mentioned, so if you think of Brickell Key again, it's triangular shape. So the point or the tip of the spear, if you will, would be the south side. That's where they're going to be putting up the Mandarin. So up on the north side of the island, you're going to run into a project called Tequesta 1, 2, and 3. What was interesting is, and this is for the old timers. What was interesting is there was a hustle going on by a city inspector in the 90s, along with contractors. They were basically paying off people in the city of Miami to sign off on building and zoning stuff. And the same engineers from the city who were involved with it, they also were involved with, if memory serves me correct, that stackable retail that's up at Dadeland Mall. You know that stackable where they have like a
And that
Target,
had
they have a sports store?
tremendous structural issues with that building.
Yeah. So so Tequesta 1, 2, and 3, or at least one of the three, at least, it was a big controversy in the 90s about what was going on. Are these buildings actually safe? So, it's interesting that they're being forced now to go through on their, whatever kind of inspection they're doing. I don't know. Yeah, maybe they're in and around their milestone inspection, but again, this is some of the things that we kind of, we didn't even pay attention to back then. Now, if something like that
Peter,
were
we
to
lost.
happen, it'd be a
Oh,
completely different story.
Peter, your audio's cracking out.
It's cracking up. Okay.
Whoops. It's all right. You're coming back.
All right.
Let me get a check 1 2 from Peter.
Check 1 2. Check 1 2.
There
Peter.
he is again. I couldn't do this without you, Peter. That puts it. Wow, we are being very honest with time today. So our and part of our format, guys, is that we buy, sell, hold on any one of these given topics. So as we move down this list, Peter and I are going to either buy it, we're going to sell it, it's BS, or you know what? We don't know. And by the way, just like any adult, we can change our minds and we don't have to agree on everything. So on Brickle Key's little running path, should they do something about it? Or you know what? Screw them. You didn't want to pay out to Little Brickle Key. Go walk all the way to Key Biscayne.
You know, I think it's a sell from my perspective, because I think the girlies, according to the Miami New Times, I think they need to do what everybody else needs to do right now, is pivot. They need to change. They need to figure out a different way. And who knows, maybe they'll be much better off for it. And they know they can ultimately come back once the work is done. And they're going to be able to see all the construction going on the south end of Brickell Key. So I'm a sell. I think they're blown out of proportion. I think they need to pivot.
I'm a sell too. You know what? If you want to walk around Brickell Key, give me a call and we'll get you a condo in Brickell Key. We're selling that idea. But speaking of transactions, and this is our next topic, Miami has been the center of crypto hoopla and headlines since the pandemic, really. And now developers, because there's so much competition, a new way to market your property and pre-construction is, well, we accept crypto as payment, which I do think is crazy because, well, it's just so volatile. And yes, developers sometimes allow you to put up securities and equities if you have a large portfolio and you don't want to put $500,000 deposit for a condo reservation that's not going to deliver for a few years. They allow you to do that. So the argument is, well, why not crypto? Well, because up until fairly recently, crypto's been sort of this outlier asset. And now, because of the friendliness of the White House towards crypto, I think it's more substantiated than just a rumor that Fannie and Freddie are going to start recognizing crypto as an asset so that you can take loans that are collateralized by your crypto holdings. What does that spell out, Peter, for transactions? Is it just a shiny page on a marketing presentation, or is this really going to spur more transaction?
Well, Daniel, the reason that the crypto came up, for one, the current presidential administration is really pushing forward with it. The previous administration looked at it as if it ought to be governed by the Securities and Exchange Commission. The new presidential administration says no, it's something completely different. You don't need to get the SEC involved. So they did pass some laws. They're permitting it to basically be pegged to the U.S. dollar. So anybody who's out there selling or using this stuff, it needs to be backstop. It needs to have money. There's got to be some sort of ratio where they have it on hand in case there's a run on that particular crypto, whatever the case may be. So that's kind of the big picture. Now, I will remind you, during the pandemic era, we had a mayor, or we actually still have a mayor. We'll see how much longer it goes because they're trying to add an additional year without getting voted in, and there's a lawsuit. But that's kind of a different story.
I'm caught up in
Yeah.
my words, but a judge just came out and said that they're having that election.
They're having that election, and basically what it is, everybody, is the city of Miami is trying to change its schedule for city commission, and I don't know if mayor's involved with it or not, but basically, so it's pegged to a bigger election. They always have these off-time type of elections. Nobody shows up. There's 10,000 votes, and I'm being facetious, and as a result, very few people are voting, and therefore you kind of get the leadership view that you have. So there's this idea, let's go ahead and change the election. We'll peg it so when people go to the polls for the bigger elections, they're able to vote on this as well. So, and the way to do it was basically to give everybody who was sitting an additional year. So add on to their term, basically, so this would happen. But that being said, So Francis Suarez, who's currently the mayor of Miami, and likes this idea about getting an extra year without having to be voted in for it. And I think he's term limited out. So what he did is he was marketing Miami and was marketing Florida during the pandemic. Remember, when the rest of the country was under lockdown, we announced in Florida you could come here, you don't have to wear a mask, and you get to twerk on a police car. Many
Well,
people flooded in here. One of the areas that they were marketing to was up in Silicon Valley. And we somehow got into a pissing match or a competition with the mayor of New York City to see who was going to be the crypto capital of the United States, not the financial capital of the United States, like Ken Billions has said, but rather the crypto capital. All kind of events went on down here, Bitcoin events. They have a bull that was donated. It's placed outside of Miami-Dade College, right across the street from the federal penitentiary. Fittingly or unfittingly, you play it how you want. Oh, so the reason we're talking about it right now today is suddenly there's a brokerage out in the Durrell area that's launching a crypto division. So they're going to have brokers who,
Avante.
yep, they're going to have brokers who are going to specialize in anybody who wants to trade their crypto for real estate.
Which,
In addition
by
to
the way,
that,
come on, it's press release. It's specialized in crypto. Like it's a transaction.
well, no, but the real deal did a story, and then in addition,
The
there's a
real deal?
project. The real deal did a story. And in addition, there is a condo project that's out there marketing the fact they got pre-construction. And, sales are very strong, but if you want to buy with crypto, we're willing to accept it. So the point is, you're starting to hear a lot more about crypto. In terms of anybody who's wondering, who's at home and they're wondering what is crypto today. Well, Bitcoin is coming in somewhere in the ballpark about 113, and I will tell you, it's down 5%
But
in the
this is my
last
point.
week
Okay,
or so.
so yeah, a week ago it was at 120. So
Yep.
these real estate transactions, they're yes, a wire is a wire. It goes, and I get the money. But if I can't turn that into fiat currency, into U.S. dollars within a few hours, you mean I can lose 5% of that deposit?
Yeah. Or what they would say is that 113 can go to 120, and now you would have just made 5%.
Yeah, but it's totally speculative. You know what? I know we're not even up on time. We got 2 minutes on that, but you can
Well,
talk for another 2 minutes.
I got
I'm
more then.
selling
I
the
got
shit out
more.
of that.
I got more. So what I can tell you back in 2016, and I'm going to put on my report. I used to be a journalist. I'm going to put on my reporter hat. 2016, the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network Treasury comes out with an order saying if you're buying all cash, meaning no financing, in Manhattan or in Miami-Dade County, only two places in the country, if you're buying without financing, the title company's got to be able to figure out who the ultimate end user is because of money laundering, anti-money laundering efforts. So the thing with something like Bitcoin or crypto, it's potentially, if you listen or you read some of the stuff, it's a way to kind of get around all of the issues associated with anti-money laundering laws.
You're talking about
In
know your customer, KYC.
Yeah, could be KYC, or it could be some of the orders that came down from FinCEN related to closings when there's no mortgage involved. Because the mortgage, typically the banks have to do the due diligence. But if you're
Right,
able
they're
to
gonna
close without
underwrite it.
financing,
Right.
yeah, exactly. So this is something to watch. Now, if you're in the condo market in South Florida today, you want crypto. Why? Because nothing's trading. Well, it's not trading at the pace it was. Now, if you're somebody who's on the buy side, you don't necessarily want crypto involved because that's simply going to bring in other types who might be willing to go over and above because they either want to burn their crypto or they want to clean cash.
And that brings us right up to our time. Wow, we are being wonderfully honest on time today. I already told you that I'm selling this.
Yeah, no,
Are you buying it?
no, I'm a sell, and why? Because I think of where the price is. I think it's probably going to pull back. So,
I just
so
think I just think it's a shiny page on a marketing presentation because there's just so much competition. Oh, well, maybe we're not actually 70% sold. Maybe we're 45% sold, and we need to market to other people.
I'm with you on that. I think the reason you're seeing this is that they're trying to figure out which rock can we pick up in order to find some would-be buyers. In this
Yeah,
particular market.
why don't you start accepting some AirPods as payment? I'll send you 500,000 AirPods.
What was the New Times story or the Herald story? People are trading mangoes. They were bartering mangoes for different type of
I
products.
think that the mango market is solidly constant, especially if you're getting some of these really sweet varieties.
with
I
none
think
of the like the hairs in them.
yeah, I think we should do a study on the correlation of mango season production with real estate and see if those correlate together.
Hey,